Hey folks, welcome back to Gaming Garbage, where we take a look at games, chat about the gaming news, the industry, and of course stream for fun when we can, which is not often lately. But anyway, I wanted to do an update on Nintendo because we just had the full fiscal year of 2025 for the company, and it's not as good as you think it is. And so we're going to go over some financial results, the stock itself, total sales from Switch's own number or from Nintendo's own numbers, and then too, some of the games are getting discounted that we've never seen before. So no, I don't think things are good really at all. So let's start at the beginning here. Switch 2 has sold almost 20 million units. It's really slowed down a lot because even I want to say 6 months ago, um, they sold like 17 million, right? And they sold over 5 million in their first month of launch. It was like 24, 28 days or something. The Switch is still selling a little bit more in units. They're still selling a few million more, which is crazy. We're almost at 156 now for total. So even though the price did go up, they're still selling. So yeah, these numbers are year over year, and a lot of these, of course, these are in yen. These are their actual numbers, but things look really good. Net sales, operating profit is up over 100%, net profit is up 51%, etc. Things look very good, okay? But when we start getting into where the stock is at, well, this is launch actually back here in June. Okay, we had the excitement and the hype of the stock. Investors were excited and happy. We had actual launch, and then it's just kind of bounced around some, and now it's been coming down ever since. And we just got word that the Switch 2 is going to be going up roughly $50 depending on where you live. We don't know exactly if that's global or not. But Nintendo, through a Bloomberg report, is basically saying, yeah, the price has to go up. And whether we hate market conditions or not, which I think all of us do, they are real and they are affecting the actual manufacturing of physical stuff. Digital too, but not as much. So yeah, they have to raise the price basically $50. It'll be $500 now for a Switch 2. And the market is already reflecting some of that, bumping up the price, saying that it could be 500, right? Depending on when you buy it or order it or whatever. But yeah, when the stock is down almost 52% from its highs, with the Switch 2 sales being amazing, and Switch 1 still selling, and all of this stuff, and everything that they've done to kind of push Switch 2 into actual sales, like raising the price of the Switch 1 first, for roughly about the last 6 months or 8 months, because again, people are still buying those. It's still not translating very well. And we take a look too at their profit for this last quarter. They've had the lowest profit ever in quite a few years, which is kind of insane. We're at 16%, which is not great. And again, the revenue's good, the net income is good. They're still making a good profit, but this is actually some of the lowest we've actually ever had. We take a look annually, even though they're getting a bunch of revenue coming in, the costs too are just too high and net margin is low. And so yeah, total for the year is 18.3%. We were talking about this last year and I think some the year before, but pretty normal for them used to be high 20s for profit. Even during kind of the tail end of the Switch 1, and then we heard about the Switch 2, and then we've actually had the Switch 2 launch, and it is just not going the way that they expected. They're still paying out pretty good for their dividends, which is good. But again, even though they were expecting pretty low revenue, boy, it still didn't meet it. They were still off quite a bit, unfortunately. And yeah, their earnings didn't quite hit, and then also their revenue that they thought they were going to have, that didn't hit either. Now they're expecting for the next year to sell about another 16.5 million Switch 2s. But I'm not sure if they're actually going to hit that, especially when they're raising the price. And this is kind of how people are feeling about that. After we just heard that, yeah, we're going to raise the price. Oh boy, no, we're going to drop a little bit more. I mean, what kind of a drop was that? Roughly a 10% or 8.5, roughly 8.5% drop just on that. Take a look at their sales data. This is Nintendo's own website as of March 31st of 2026. So literally, a couple months ago. And I want to say, too, that these are worldwide consolidated titles from life to date, also including quantity bundles and including downloaded versions, the digital, and also, but there's just the imaging is packaging from Japan. But yeah, I wanted to clarify that. So these are totals. So 14.7, 4.5, almost 4, which, yeah, this undersold, I think, more than what they were thinking for the Switch 2. When you factor in The Switch 1 sales, though, that actually sold a lot better than the Switch 2 version did. Pokopia is 2.4, so it went up another 200,000. And Kirby Air Riders can't even get to 2 million, which is pretty sad. So again, they said that their total software sales, and this is important, was 48.7 million. And so quite a few of those were kind of some third-party games, but again, third parties are not necessarily selling that well. Pokemon Legends ZA did sell pretty well for the year. So did quite a few other games like Donkey Kong Bonanza and some of those others. But yeah, just a few games really sold and nothing else really sold. That's kind of my point. Take a look at the Walmart. This is the only one that I know of, but they do sell like, gaming stuff, generally speaking. But Walmart is doing some discounts, which is kind of crazy. So we have like Metroid Prime 4, which again did not necessarily get a great review. It was basically a 6 out of 10. Well, that's on sale. You save basically 10%. Pokopia is already on sale. You can get a region-free AG English version, which is $65. Pokemon ZA, which did sell pretty well. I think we're looking at like, 8 or 10 million total copies. And $65. You can get it for $65. Also, Kirby Air Riders, again, which we showed has not sold well. You can get it for over 10% off. You can get it for $59. And then this was another thing that was very surprising to me is that, when you pre-order Yoshi the Mysterious Book, again, this game is not even out yet. It's already discounted. Like a lot. So I'm just kind of surprised by all of this because usually, as we know, Nintendo games do not go down in price. But boy, that is not the case. Also, too, when you take a look at third-party games, you take a look at Madden or like Split Fiction or some of these other games, they're already on sale. Some of them already 50% off, which is kind of crazy. So, I mean, in my view, things are not going overly good for Nintendo. I think they're trying, of course, to kind of like paper over this, but the information and data is what it is. And I got to pat myself on the back a little bit with the Switch 2 maybe only selling 50 million units by the end of its life cycle, which is, another kind of 6-7 years from now. But yeah, we're almost at a year for their 1-year anniversary, and it is just not going good. And when we take a look at a lot of the games too, take a look at a lot of the games too. For Switch 2 games, they're not selling as great as we thought. So again, the critics were higher. Players are roughly at about a 7. Pokemon Champions is doing horrible. You can't even find this actually at Walmart. But yeah, critics are not happy. Players are not happy. Take a look at Metroid Prime 4. Again, it's kind of like higher 70s. It was all right, but some people also didn't like it. It didn't sell as well as we were thinking. The best-selling game is actually Donkey Kong Bonanza, and both critics and players really enjoyed that one. But also taking a look at Legends ZA, again, this was awful. This is one of the most hated actual first-party Switch 2 games, which is kind of crazy. But again, that's not great. That's not great to actually see that. When we take a look at Pokopia, people that are playing it and reviewing it are enjoying the game. High 80s, which is great. But again, we've only sold about 2.4 million, and it's been out since March. So it's been out for a couple of months. They sold 2.4. Basically, it sold what it's going to sell. Maybe it'll get to 3 million, but I highly doubt it. We'll also take a look, too, at Kirby Air Riders. Pretty good for both. But again, it's been out since November, and we can't even hit 2 million sales. And there's like 20 million Switch 2s out there. That's kind of nuts. We can't even hit 10%. So, yeah, in my view, it's panning out kind of the way I expected. The sentiment is really bad. The price is too high, and now the price is going to go up another $50, probably for roughly everybody. Maybe even Japan. We'll have to see. They do get a cheaper version, but again, it's still not enough. And it's just kind of insane to start seeing actual discounts on the games, including a pre-order, right? Including a pre-order. Their stock is definitely down a lot more than we were kind of expecting. But yeah, that's not great. And then, yeah, the price hike is not making it better. Their earnings were not as good as they were hoping. And then we take a look at their profitability. It's the worst in years. And we're still within the first year of a new console. Like, this is when it's supposed to be exciting, supposed to be selling, and all of that stuff, and just none of that is actually happening. So I think Nintendo's going to have a rough generation. Called it right so far. Could be proven wrong, of course, at any time. We'll see. But I think they got to change some of the policies. But even though allowing like smaller key cards for third partiers, I think the damage is already done. And even if they changed a lot of their DRM stuff, I think, again, the damage is already done. I think people would rather play somewhere else. And I think Nintendo is figuring out that they're kind of not relevant anymore. I know that's kind of insane to say, but I think we're there. So thanks for tuning in, guys. You can always follow me at GameGarbage22. If you want to sub, make sure you like the bell as well. Otherwise, you will not be notified of my other vids. You can also follow me at Twitch if you'd like when I can stream, which is, again, not very often, but I am going through Dead Space. Thank you guys for voting. I'm trying to get back to that, but boy, life is just too busy right now with work and family. So, but anyway, what do you guys think? Are you planning on getting a Switch 2 eventually? Are you excited about the price going up? Probably know the answer to that. Is there any games in particular that you enjoy? But again, this is not about you or I liking or hating Nintendo. This is about what the masses are doing, and that's a huge problem. So that, folks, we'll see you guys in the next one.